The Federation Handbells are uniquely crafted and innovative musical instruments. They were commissioned by the Victorian Government and the Melbourne International Arts Festival to celebrate the centenary of Federation in 2001. They were designed and constructed by physicist Neil McLaughlin and sculptor Anton Hassel. They are the world's first true harmonic bells, and there are more than 2,000 of them. There are 24 bells in each set, covering 2 octaves, and they are played with a mallet rather than having an internal clapper. They can be held in your hand and played individually, or left in their cases and played as a single instrument, much like a xylophone or other tuned percussion. The Federation Handbells are managed by Museums Victoria on behalf of Creative Victoria, and we have a very active loans program. Over 1.5 million people have engaged with the bells since the program began. Anyone can put in a request to hire the bells, and actually, we never have all the sets in the warehouse. There are always people borrowing the Federation Handbells.
When an object vibrates, it produces many frequencies at once. A human voice, a string, has those frequencies aligned in the harmonic series, which means the second frequency is twice the frequency of the first, third frequency is 3 times the first, and so on. But if you hit a saucepan, the frequencies could be anything, and it doesn't sound like a musical pitch to you. So we had to try and design a bell where the frequencies were in the harmonic series, so that it had pure pitch. Because we were freed of the conventions of the European church bell, we could explore the entire design space, going from a cylinder to a disc. We could explore how the standing waves in the bell behaved at all these different shapes. By doing that, we discovered that it was the circumferential waves were the ones we needed to tune, because they were already roughly harmonically tuned. In the late 1980s and into the 90s, desktop computing was becoming much more powerful. So you could do more models, more complex models, much more quickly. And that gave us the resources to actually run lots of programs, and it gave me the opportunity to work with Joseph Thomas, Professor Joe Thomas, who had been collaborating with Volkswagen to develop finite element modelling software. He was interested in stopping parts of the motor from resonating. We were interested in making objects that did resonate. So we were able to use his program to then fine-tune the shape of the wall to bring those circumferential waves into a harmonic series. And we achieved this for the very first time in history with the Federation Handbells. Well, the Federation Handbells was such a massive project on a scale that may never happen again. And it's reached millions of people who have had the experience of playing music, maybe for the first time. People who aren't necessarily trained in music can make beautiful sounds, and they can experience the joy of playing with other people. Since the late 1980s, I've been working in communities with percussion ensembles that I was building from found objects in local skill shares with no money, with whatever we could do. And we were working with at-risk and Indigenous communities, building homemade gamelan. We experienced the wonderful joy that communities had in playing together, creating music together, which is a really unique experience that is wonderfully human. So the Federation Handbells was an opportunity to do this really well, to make the most beautiful sounding objects I possibly could, and to make lots of them so they could go out to lots of communities, not just in Victoria, but all around the world. And I couldn't be happier to see this happening finally.
The concept of the handbells came from Jonathan Mills, who had listened to medals at Anzac parades clinking and wanted to have 2001 handbells in a performance in 2001. The beautiful thing about these handbells is they're a computer artefact. They're produced by a software program that that starts with a virtual shape and then the computer optimizes. Neil and I were having a meeting with Professor Thomas. We had asked him to optimise a cylindrical shaped bell to become a harmonic bell. And at the meeting, which was only a few days before Neil and I were to go and do research in North Asia, he said, look, I'm sorry, the program hasn't optimised a harmonic bell. What shape should I use while you're away? And I happen to have a polystyrene coffee cup, and I said, well, look, use that shape, keep the outside straight, and let the computer optimise however it likes on the inside. And when we got back from North Asia, lo and behold, the computer program had optimised the handbell. The truth of the matter is that the project was so immense, with so many amazing people contributing. Every day over the 4 years was solving problems that Neil and I, were frantically trying to do. And so to have a conception of how it would all come together wasn't really possible. It wasn't until that performance in 2001 at the Maya Music Bowl, when community members and professional percussionists played all 2001 handbells on stage, that I had tears in my eyes. I was just amazed to see the bells used as a community creative cultural asset.
There's a twofold genius to the Federation Handbells project. One is that they are a beautiful sounding instrument, whether they are being played by new musicians or virtuoso percussionists. And two, that there are so many of them. These two factors mean that the Federation Handbells are extraordinarily accessible. For example, one set could travel in a series of loans from a professional orchestra at the Sydney Opera House to an arts event at a local primary school, and then to a community jazz ensemble. We have our base in Spotswood and 6 hubs set up in libraries around Victoria, in Warrnambool, Whittlesea, Bendigo, Wangaratta, Frankston and Druin, from which people can collect the bells and where we run workshops for people in those local communities. The Federation Handbells link to deep bell tradition, but they are innovative in their design and innovative in their ability to engage communities. They have enormous creative potential on their own, with other instruments, and in numerous art forms. We like to say that when it comes to the Federation Handbells, their possible uses are limited only by our imaginations.